Hey friends, welcome back to UFD Tech. Obviously, the biggest buzz on the internet right now is the iPhone 11 launch from Apple. I mean, even here on YouTube, they had over 1 million concurrent viewers. So it's not hard to say that the internet cares about it. And also, one of the things you should know as a tech channel is that if you don't cover the iPhone, you get penalized for it. Linus proved that in his video that he did last year about the iPhone launch, and that's why we're talking about the iPhone 11 today. But I want to do it with a little twist, not necessarily just going to be covering the iPhone 11, but actually trying to figure out other things. Anyways, so the iPhone 11 launched A3 Bionic chip, one of the first chips on TSMC's 7nm EUV lithography. The A12 Bionic was on just regular 7nm, and it actually comes with some pretty key improvements, especially in the battery life department, with Apple saying that the iPhone 11 Pro will come with over 4 hours more battery life over the XS. Kind of cool. What's not cool is the new names that they came up with everything, like Super Retina instead of regular Retina, and I don't understand it. You also have standard stuff like up to 512 gigabytes of storage. You got 6.1, 5.8, and 6.5 inch screens for your device. But then we also got price tags associated with it. And it looks like you're getting a $50 price cut on the lower end model, like the XR. Obviously the XR got a price cut already, but the iPhone 11, which is the replacement, is $50 cheaper than the XR at launch. That's what I'm saying. But then the iPhone 11 Pro is the same price. And then the Pro Max, which is a terrible name, by the way, is $1,099. So what I wanted to go ahead and look through was if we were going to build a PC for the gosh dang same price as an iPhone. I mean, we already did this back when the Mac stand came out. What could we make as a monitor stand for the same price? Well, today we're going to give you the full experience of a computer for the same price as the iPhone model. So we actually have 3 different builds that we're going to walk through. One is $700 to go over the iPhone 11, then a $1,000 build to match the iPhone 11 Pro, and then a $1,450 build to match the iPhone 11 Pro Max with 512 gigabytes of RAM, which would be the highest spec iPhone that you could potentially purchase. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and a lot of these are actually quite decent builds. A lot of them are also a little bit the same, but we're giving you 2 for each price point, one with that's just the PC and one that's the PC with a monitor. Obviously some sacrifices have to be made to include a monitor at that price point, but we'll get into that specifically. So up first is the iPhone 11 build for $700, just the PC. What we have is a Ryzen 5 2600 for the processor, a Gigabyte B450M micro ATX motherboard. You can substitute this with a couple of other boards, especially with the price total of this build, but you got 16 gigabytes of G.Skill Trident Z RGB RAM, rated at 3200 megahertz, a 1 terabyte NVMe solid state drive from Intel, the 660p, alongside an RX 580 8GB Armor in the Cooler Master Masterbox Q300L micro ATX case to fit that gigabyte motherboard, and then a 550 watt Corsair CXM power supply. All of this would be perfect for 1080p 60 FPS gaming. The RX 580 is coming in at $160. I mean, the total price after rebates and everything is $677.79. If you didn't want to go with the Gigabyte B450M for that price, you could get a slightly better motherboard with that remaining $23. But overall, you can get a good 1080p gaming system for $700. But if we want to include a monitor in it, the monitor that we're going to be choosing is probably the best budget monitor you can get. Just like all of its specs combined, it's kind of unparalleled in its price point, and that's the Acer SB220Q, which comes in at 1080p, 75 hertz, IPS, as well as FreeSync. So you're getting a really great monitor, and then the only thing that you really have to cut down on is the RAM. Instead of getting RGB RAM, we just get the Corsair Vengeance LPX RAM, and then instead of getting a 1 terabyte NVMe drive, we get a 512 NVMe drive from Intel as well. And then we drop the graphics card down from an RX 580 to an RX 570 8GB from MSI. That's $120 for that card after rebates, and then our total price is $670 with a monitor. You might actually potentially be able to add $30 onto that RX 570 price and get a slightly better graphics card for even even better graphics, but hitting that 75 hertz FreeSync level with the RX 570 would be pretty easy to do at 1080p on medium to high settings. Getting that done, it would actually be quite good. And the best thing of these $700 builds are the Ryzen 5 CPUs. The Ryzen 5 2600 is coming in only at $130 right now. 6 cores, 12 threads, $130. That is a dang good price. But then let's switch over to the iPhone 11 Pro bracket. We're looking at getting something in the $1,000 neighborhood. So what we have here is a Ryzen 5 3600, an ASRock B450 Pro 4 motherboard, full ATX. We've got some G.Skill Aegis RAM DDR4 3000 megahertz, that same 1TB NVMe drive from earlier, as well as putting it all in an NZXT H500 mid-tower case with the same Corsair 550 watt power supply from earlier. But the graphics card this time, my friends, is the RX 5700 XT. So this thing is actually going to give you great 1440p gaming for $1,000, 1440p, 60 FPS, highest settings. This can manage it. Obviously, at this point, you probably would want to look at a partner model for the same price. This is a $400 card, so getting something from, let's say, XFX or Asus or MSI would be in your best interest. However, stock issues are there, but if you're picking up a 5700 XT, reference or not, you're going to have really great 1440p gaming environments. So for $1,000, that's what you get. And then if we're including a monitor, I actually decided to include the same monitor for this build because in order to squeeze in that $90 monitor, we obviously have to lose a little bit on the graphics card side, and that actually ends up dropping us down to a GTX 1660 Ti. It's not a bad card by any stretch, but that's a 1080p Ultra card. It's not something for 1440p. So getting the same Acer 75 hertz monitor works really well with the 1660 Ti and actually will last a bit longer because the 1660 Ti can actually grow into new games that are coming out at 1080p highest settings. Also, considering the fact that NVIDIA released an update earlier this year, you can take advantage of FreeSync on the Acer monitor with that NVIDIA graphics card, and everything's still going to be good for you. And then the $1,450 build. This is where we're getting into some really exciting territory. Not because your gaming performance is going to be all that much better, although it could be potentially if you chose to make a few different sacrifices than what we made in this build, but you can get a Ryzen 7 3700X on an MSI MPG X570 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi motherboard, so you have coverage on internet even if you're not at a LAN port. 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro memory with a 1TB NVMe drive from Intel again, with also a 5700 XT. Then you add in the Cooler Master Mastercase 5 H500 case, as well as a 650 watt 80 plus gold RMX power supply from Corsair, and you're sitting at $1,450, which is quite incredible. If you didn't want to spend the extra $200 on the 3700X over the Ryzen 5 2600, well then you can add $200 to that 5700 XT price tag. That puts you at $600 for a graphics card, and you might be able to pick an RTX 2080 up for that price. So you can go kind of either way with that, but 1440p Ultra is still really what you're looking at here. Now, if we're going to include a monitor into this 1440p build, I actually decided to not go 1440p, but rather 1080p 144 hertz, because we still keep the 5700 XT in this build, but we pick up the AOC 24-inch 1080p 144 hertz monitor with the 5700 XT. Can handle quite admirably, but that does drop us down also to a Ryzen 5 3600 on the same motherboard with 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro memory instead of the 32 gigabytes. And then instead of having just the 1TB hard drive, in order to make up some more of the cost, I added in a 1TB hard drive, which gives us the same price of $1,450. There's still a few key configurations you can make. You could potentially get up to a 1440p monitor for the $160 that we're looking at here for this AOC, but you're not going to be in a high refresh rate territory. I'd rather have high refresh rate 1080p than 60 hertz on 1440p, which is why I made this. But then also potentially you can still save another $70 on the CPU by going Ryzen 5 2600 instead of the 3600, and then adding that $70 into either the monitor budget, or as well you could add it into the graphics card budget. But $470 doesn't really buy you a whole lot different than the $400 5700 XT. But at every price point that the iPhone costs at this point, you can get an amazing gaming experience for PC gaming. And some of you might argue, that this is not relevant, but you can still also get for $14, $50, you can get a really decent portable gaming laptop as well for portable gaming, just say. But the fact that we're getting all of these tiny phones, which are basically tiny little computers, and then you could either spend it on that or you can spend it on something that can do a whole lot more for the exact same price. I would probably pick up the gaming computer and save the money for something else, like pick up a Pixel 3a, save the $300 and put it towards a gaming PC, my friends. That would make the most sense. But at the $700 iPhone 11 price point, we have a great 1080p high gaming PC with or without monitor. At the $1,000 price point for the iPhone 11 Pro, what we're looking at is a great 1440p high settings gaming PC or 1080p high refresh rate. And then we also look at that with the $1,450 budget. It's roughly in the same category, except for this time you can afford a little bit of a better monitor to actually experience the power of the graphics card. So that's our recommendations. If you're building a PC for the same price point of an iPhone, that's what you get. Let us know if you like this comparison down below in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech related content. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.